Good morning. It's a beautiful day. Welcome back to KJ's channel. As I said, it is a beautiful day and I am wearing shorts and flip-flops. That's right. 46 degrees. Beautiful. I'm heading down to the office now. I got done with my run this morning. I'll go take care of a couple of errands on the way. But yesterday, I talked about some things that make it difficult to serve in places like this. And today, I want to share why I think it's a great blessing to serve in places like Jordan, Montana. All right, so the first thing that I think is a huge blessing, and I think this is the reason why a lot of guys initially get into places like this, is the excitement. In simple layman's terms, you're on the front line when you're in places like this. The reality is that there's a sense of adventure and excitement that comes when you serve in difficult places or when you go to difficult areas. The backpacking team that I was on, we got to go to some of those places, and even though I serve here and I deal with some of that excitement on a daily basis, it was even more exciting to be able to go to some of those places. So I'd say that's probably the number one, the biggest blessing, is that it's just an adventure. It's one of those times when you say, okay, God, I'm going to follow you, and then you get the ride of your life. Okay, number two. Before I explain, or before I say this one, I want to tell a little bit of a story. When Sharon was pregnant, we were talking to the OB, and we were just visiting about things and getting to know each other a little bit better, and asked him why he chose OB as his specialization. And he says, well, honestly, I don't do well with sick people. And we kind of had a chuckle about that, but he further explained, and I understand that when you're in OB and you're dealing with pregnant ladies and new life, generally you're dealing with healthy people. You're not dealing with sick people. And I tell that story because a lot of times people go into ministry hoping to interact with lost people and see people get saved and see people's lives transformed. And a lot of times what happens in ministry is that we become isolated and we tend to only deal with people of the church. That doesn't happen when you're in small-time ministry and rural ministry. Somebody commented on one of my other videos that one of the difficulties is that as a rural minister, a pastor of a small rural church, you tend to do everything. And that is so true. You can't just go hide in your office and not be involved. You have to be interacting with people. And so it keeps a freshness to ministry. See new people get saved, disciple, send them out into ministry, and that just keeps a freshness that I think you see in rural ministry or places like this that you don't always get to see in some of the bigger settings when you are upper levels of leadership within that church. I don't think that they always get to see that. Now, I'm not saying they don't. Some pastors are very proactive in making sure that that doesn't happen to them, and it keeps their ministry fresh. But it tends to be more natural here where I am. So I guess, what am I on? Number 3? I think the third thing that makes ministry in a place like this great and is a blessing just happened. The couple that I've been doing premarital counseling with are traveling back to Wyoming. In Wyoming, I don't know if you know, was just hit with like 6 foot of snow over this past week. And so they're just now able to get traveling down that direction and get back to school. And so we had to cancel our time today. And that brings up the third point, which is schedule. Due to the nature of ministry out here and doing this, and I think it's true in lots of different places, is I have a pretty free and flexible schedule. Some pastors are stuck in the office. There's churches that require not quite timesheets, but you get so many days off, and then they treat it like a normal position, like a normal job. And I mean, honestly, ministry is a 24/7 job. You're always available if somebody needs something. But as far as office hours, meetings, things like that, I have a pretty flexible schedule because of the rural nature. And I think that's true for any type of rural activity, farming, ranching. You get to make your schedule, and you do things when you can or when it suits you. Just pulled up here to the grocery store. I'm gonna run in here and grab me some lunch, but that made me think about. I don't really know if I should call them the intangibles or just other things that are a blessing. Let me back up and explain. So I talked about the economy and the fact that you don't get a sizable paycheck, and it does take money to get things done. But people in these rural areas may not be able to give you cash money at a high level, but they do give you other things. And so they're not really intangibles because you can't touch them, but it's not uncommon for us to get some meat if people provide some meat. When vegetables are in season, we get some vegetables. They give us other things as they're not using them. Give us great discounts if we do buy something from them. There's just so many different ways that they show their appreciation. I was talking to a guy in our church the other day, and we were talking about how back in the day you could pay the doctor with a chicken and stuff like that, and some of that still exists in some of these rural areas, and that's a blessing. That's really a nice thing. And so a lot of my needs are met without having to go the financial route and then me buying what I need. So, hey, that's a good thing. So one final thing I want to say that's a blessing of being in a small community, this type of ministry. In the book of Mark, chapter 10, Jesus talks to the rich young ruler, and after he tells the rich young ruler that he can't go to heaven unless he sells all his stuff and gives it to the poor, that personal interaction to expose his heart, Peter does something that's interesting. He says, but we have sacrificed everything. And Jesus again reminds them that whoever gives up stuff here will be rewarded for it. And so I think there is a real connection to understanding what your sacrifice means in a spiritual sense. Now, anybody who comes with the purpose of sacrificing in order to get spiritual blessings totally misses the point. But what I'm saying is you're on the front lines of seeing how your sacrifices impact people's daily lives right now. While I think there are opportunities to see that in other places, ministries like this make it easy to see. And again, it's one of those that, yes, if you're called to ministry, you're called to serve God, you can be faithful and you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. But there is a little bit of a difference when you are on the front lines and you see the action happening. That's that excitement, that tangible. I can point to certain people and say, their life belongs to Jesus Christ now because I sacrificed in order to come out here and be their pastor. That, for me, offers a lot of encouragement, and I think that encourages a lot of pastors to keep going. So it's time to head home, so I'm going to go home, and I'll see you folks tomorrow.